Ladies and gentlemen, welcome to another edition of Second Take. I'm your host, Armand Sadler. It's been a good week for me so far, studying for finals. I've been pretty busy with that. Attended a very powerful event that my school held for Ferguson and Garner called a Die-In, where we all laid down and died for 15 minutes in an academic building. It's a very powerful event. A lot of people came out. I really appreciate it. So, yeah, that's my life. Jill, how's everything going with you?
Everything's fine over here. I actually want to start the show off just kind of like on a darker topic, but just wanting to say some things. Eric Berry, he's a player for the Kansas City Chiefs. He was recently diagnosed this week with Hodgkin's lymphoma. He had been going to the doctor. Well, they had thought he kind of might have had it for the past week or so, and this week he was officially diagnosed, so we're really hoping for a speedy recovery for him. The Chiefs are actually trying to raise money for his treatment and stuff like that, so if you want to log on to their site and buy a shirt. Sorry, I'm starting out very sad. Cam Newton actually got into a car wreck today where his car flipped 2 to 3 times in his truck. He was taken to the hospital, conscious, he's okay. He has minor fractures in his back. Don't know if he's missing any playing time or anything, but we're just glad he's okay. Serious car wreck, so glad he made it out. And then another sad thing, John Wall had gotten very close to this little girl named Maya. She had a brain tumor, I believe, and this weekend she actually passed away. And last night after the Wizards game, John Wall in a post-game interview just broke down crying, and really just shows you it's so much more than just dribbling a ball up and down a court, throwing a ball up and down a field. I mean, these are real people, real everything, and rest in peace to Maya. And it was a very powerful moment from John Wall, and gained a lot of respect from everybody.
Yeah, very unfortunate story to start the show off with, but hoping for the best for everyone involved in those situations. It's pretty unfortunate for Cam Newton as well, because he played very well on Sunday as the Panthers destroyed the Saints 41-10. Nice little transition to NFL. Looking at some more scores, we saw the Cowboys beat the Bears on Thursday 41-28. Cowboys have won 10 games now. They're looking good. It's definitely not what we're used to from the Dallas Cowboys, but this season things looking different. My Colts defeated the Browns 25-24. A little upset about how close that game was. Johnny Manziel didn't play, so I was like, why is that close? Because he's clearly better than Hoyer, so if he was playing, they would put up more. But regardless, a win is a win. So the Broncos beat the Bills 24-17. Surprisingly close game. The Bills have improved a lot, but the Broncos are a powerhouse this season. A notable game, the Giants defeated the Titans 36-7. The Giants, who have been poo-poo this year, really, really stepped it up and destroyed the Titans, so it was very impressive. Vikings got a win over the Jets. It's as easy as tying your shoe. We saw the Seahawks beat the Eagles 24-14. Pretty good game there. And Monday we saw the Packers defeat the Falcons 43-37. So as the NFL season's winding down, teams are playing harder. Johnny Manziel will be starting on Sunday. Very happy to see that. The Browns have decided to go in the right direction. They're not completely out of the playoff hunt. It's not looking too good for them, but I mean, if Johnny Manziel comes in and does some heroics, makes them 10-6, we might see the Browns in the playoffs. I'm sure Jill has
Okay, first of all, are they going to be 10-6? No. They're in the AFC with the Patriots, the Bengals, the Colts, and the Broncos. And just looking at the Browns, so they're playing their single division winner, or the top of their division, which they're not in the best division, Cincinnati this weekend. And then after Cincinnati, they have the Panthers and then the Ravens. So them getting to 10 wins, I'm not buying into it. Them making the playoffs, not buying into it. I do want to talk about my Eagles and that loss. I got to watch the game. There were some very questionable calls. I mean, Seahawks are a great team. Pete Carroll, Mark Sanchez, his college coach, that was a cute little reunion they had. And I'm very, very happy about how Mark Sanchez has played. I love him as a player. He's really grown. He's not the guy we saw who had the butt fumble. Just not that player anymore. I do miss Nick Foles, but it's really great to kind of build this backup behind him. So I'm all for it. Eagles really did play a great game. I thought we could take it away, and it was actually a very close game. I mean, only a 10-point win, but it really didn't even seem like that. It was a very, tug and go type of thing. I'm not sure who the Eagles play this weekend, but I don't expect us to lose another game. We actually played the Cowboys this weekend, so that's going to be fun. I'm excited for that one. Another win for us. I think that's actually the primetime game on Sunday.
Correct.
Because it's 9-14. So I think it's going to be a fun game. It's at Philadelphia. So Cowboys players, wear some long shirts because it's winter and it's going to be cold. And I'm picking my Eagles. I think we got it. I don't think the Cowboys can beat the Eagles at home. I just at the Eagles. I don't know. I don't think it can happen.
I have to disagree with you there just because looking at what the Cowboys have done this season, they're undefeated on the road. They cannot win at home, but they're undefeated on the road, which is absolutely crazy. So I think they can go into Philly and get that win. Now, their confidence is going to be shaken given that they lost to them pretty badly over Thanksgiving. However, they seem to be comfortable on the road. Tony Romo turns it up when he's not in Dallas. I don't know, it's something about Dallas, but
I believe the Seahawks game was the first home loss for the Eagles this season. So a team who's great at home versus a team who's good on away, and the Eagles and Cowboys, they hate each other. Usually if Cowboys go to an away game, there's going to be some Cowboys fans in the stands. But Philadelphia and Dallas really have some serious beef.
Yeah. This is very true.
I got to go with my team.
All right, well, we shall see. It'll be a very good game. Tune in Sunday, 8:30. Jill, I think it is about that time for a rant.
Oh, and do I have one? Oh, do I have one? So this weekend in college football, it was the deciding games. Everybody's trying to get in that top four. Alabama, had it solidified, had a big win against number 16 Missouri, 42-13. They're number one. That's set in stone. Oregon blew out Arizona, 51-13. Number 2, set in stone. We got 3 and 4, and nobody knows what's happening. TCU beat Iowa State 55-3. That is a statement win. It's a great game. They destroyed them. No other way to put it. Baylor had a close game with number 9 Kansas State, 38-27. You were looking at 2 very good Big 12 teams going for that one spot that Florida State had, because that one wasn't so, promised. Florida State had a very close game with number 11 Georgia Tech, won by 2 points, 37-35, because, that's what Florida State does. Number 5 Ohio State blew out Wisconsin, number 13, 59-0. So we're going in to, this was this weekend. Yesterday is when they announced the bowl, standings, and we're looking at this like there are about 8 teams who deserve to be in this playoff. And it's a 14 playoff. So there's the committee's number 1 mistake. We made it a 14 playoff. That's just horrible. And I would hate to be on the committee because this is a hard decision. What they ended up doing is putting Florida State in and Ohio State. So there's no Big 12 team in the college football playoff. And we also think that that's because we don't have a Big 12 playoff championship game anymore. Because ever since we actually were the Big 12 with 10 teams, which makes it sound pretty stupid. So since there's only 10 teams, we don't have a championship game anymore. So we think that that's what hurt us, because all these other teams were playing in their championship game while, Baylor and TCU were not going head-to-head. So we think that hurt us. But, okay, so we've always said Power 5 conferences make it in to the college football playoff. But is Big 12 not a power conference team? Yes, I understand there's only 4 slots, but and I personally would have taken Florida State out. And a lot of people disagree with me because, they're undefeated. Okay, yes, I understand that. But TCU has 1 loss, and they've dominated every game, and Florida State necessarily hasn't done the same. And what the committee wanted was the best teams. And I don't necessarily think that just because you have an undefeated record means you're the best team. And that's just my view of it. Because is Alabama not ranked higher? Is Oregon not ranked higher? They have losses, and they're still ranked higher than Florida State for a reason, because they are dominant teams. They are better teams than Florida State, okay? In tougher divisions, they play harder opponents. I don't think that Florida State deserves to be in it. They deserve it to an extent, but I would have put TCU in first, instead of Florida State. And I mean, we're going to get some good games out of this. I mean, regardless, because we have all these great teams playing each other. We have, Alabama, Oregon, Florida State, and Ohio State in the playoffs. It's going to be great, but it could have been better. I think, Florida State might give you a close game, which is great, but, you want these people who are going, head to head. Don't you want to see an Oregon TCU, both teams that just blew out their opponents this weekend, or Ohio State, like these people who are used to blowing it out, playing against somebody who's not going to let that happen? It's going to be great. It's just going to be a great offensive match and defensive too. So that's my take on it. I expect the committee to make this at least an 18 playoff next year, because we can't do this dance again next year. Like, this was miserable for everybody.
Yeah, no, I think you make a good point. I don't necessarily agree. I think Florida State deserves to be where they've been, despite the fact that they played close games and barely beat different teams. They ended up beating them. They ended up going undefeated, and you have to give credit to where credit's due. To win 13 games in the college football season is not easy. Teams do it, but college football is unpredictable. You can lose to a non-ranked D2 team. Things happen. But Florida State managed to pull it out every game this season. I also think you're right. I think that they really do need to open the playoffs up to more teams. TCU had a great season. Baylor had a great season. They're both very deserving of some sort of recognition. But, at the end of the day, there were 4 teams that people thought were better than them. So those 4 teams got in. So
and you're looking at TCU's one loss was to Baylor. And Baylor was contending for this spot. So I understand. I'm sure the committee had a very hard day, and I don't, I'm not trying to insult them in any way, but you're just looking at it. It should have been a bigger. It should be a bigger playoff, because Oregon has their one loss to Arizona. All these teams are one-loss teams except for Florida State. So maybe they felt that they had to put them in the playoffs, because it's you can't not put this undefeated team in. But was that necessarily the right choice? I don't know. Baylor, their one loss was to West Virginia, which was a sad win. A sad loss. But TCU had a very legitimate loss. They would be undefeated if it wasn't for Baylor. So it's going to be a good playoff. There's also 3 contract bowls. So those are the bowl games that, they're still in the Fiesta Bowl or whatever, but it's just it's just not the playoffs.
Yeah, it's unfortunate, but can't please everyone. Not everyone can be a national champion or contend for it, but it would definitely be a great college football postseason regardless. Moving on to some NBA, we saw Blake Griffin make a buzzer beater 3 in a thriller to win the game. When Blake Griffin first came to the league, I didn't like him at all. I thought he was very one-dimensional. I was like, everyone loves this guy, everyone hypes him up. Yeah, he's very athletic, but all he does is dunk. I'm not impressed by that. Can this guy develop a shot? Can he become a good defender? Then he became a better rebounder. Then his mid-range game improved. Now he's knocking down threes. Blake Griffin has completely changed my opinion of him. He's definitely one of the best players in the league, and that buzzer beater 3 is just indicative of his growth as a player. We also saw Mitch Kupchak, the Lakers GM. He says he sees Kobe retiring after next season. I don't know. Kobe seems very determined to make the playoffs or get another ring. His body is definitely wearing down, all the injuries, but I don't see Kobe leaving until he gets at least close to a championship. It's just not in his character to leave. I still think he has some good basketball in him as well. So I don't know. I'm sure Joe has something to say about this as well.
I love Kobe. Always gonna love Kobe. And once I got that SportsCenter alert, I was almost emotional. I was like, I haven't even thought about the fact that there's going to be an NBA without Kobe Bryant. That hasn't even crossed my mind, and it's certainly not crossing it now. I think Kobe's probably reading that like, what? You think I'm retiring? That's hilarious. He's not going to retire, and I'm sure he's going to renew his contract, because I think he wants to start and end as a Laker, and that's how it's going to stay. So, I'm ignoring his the GM's comment because I refuse to believe it.
Yeah, and then we also saw Magic Johnson say he hopes the Lakers lose every game in the hopes that they get a high draft lottery pick. I mean, it's not a bad strategy. It'll definitely work out for you. I mean, you can't turn a team away from the number one pick if they're 0-82. Obviously, they've won a couple games. I don't know what the number is, but it's probably really low. But so yeah, I don't think the Lakers should go into the season trying to fail, but I don't see too much good coming out of this season as well. So I think regardless of what they do, they'll end up with a pretty high draft lottery pick. But I understood the message, Magic Johnson. You definitely your point was taken. Joe, and any comments since you're the Laker fan on the show?
Okay, I get what Magic is trying to say, but we're still pretty early into the season where that doesn't. You don't need to say if you're gonna lose, just go all in and lose. Like, that's horrible advice. I mean, it's just horrible advice, especially from Magic Johnson, who is a very respected player in the NBA. You know, everyone knows Magic. So bad advice, Magic. I don't like it. I get what he's trying to say, but at this point in the season, you don't need to be thinking about that. We could still turn something around. Not saying we're gonna be, great, but we could still get some more wins under our belt. We're still getting people back from injury and everything, so it takes time, Magic. Just chill out, Magic, please. Like, don't rush us.
I mean, you have to look at it from his shoes as well. He played for the organization. He was very successful with the organization. He knows what a successful Lakers team looks like. So I think I think he wants to build for the future and get a good player because, yeah, rings now would be nice, but the Lakers don't have the team to get a ring, regardless of the fact players will be coming back from injury. I don't think they have the team. I don't think they could make it out of the West. I don't even see first round being a thing. So I think Magic is trying to build for the future. Championships in 2-3 years are just as good as championships now. At the end of the day, you got them. But if you want to go for it now, the Lakers do not have the team for it. So I completely get what Magic Johnson is saying. That's all I have on my end. I don't know if Jill wanted to talk about. Oh, Texas played Kentucky this weekend, right?
Yes. Wait, yeah, was that this weekend? I'm trying to think. Yeah, that was this weekend. Wow. Yes. Sadly, we did lose to Kentucky 63-51. It was an extremely close game. I mean, even though it was a 12-point win, I promise it did not look like that. We were actually tied at halftime. Great defensive game. I mean, playing against Kentucky's defense is probably the most annoying thing in the world. They are the most aggressive defense I've ever seen, and I really saw, wow, this is why they are the number one team. There were some horrible, horrible calls by the ref, horrible calls, to the point where we've talked about this before. Refs should not have this much power in the game. They should not influence the game this much, and they did influence this game a lot. It could have been a different game without the amount of fouls. I'm pretty sure like every big man on the court had at least 3 fouls or 4 fouls. I mean, it was absolutely ridiculous. I heard that whistle blowing the entire game, and you gotta just let them play. I mean, because when a guy has 4 fouls, you're gonna put him on the bench and put him in at the end, but then it's not even like your team's competing, if you know what I'm saying. So this was a problem for both teams. It was very calls just against Texas. It was very lopsided for a majority of the game, and towards the end they kind of got some calls on Kentucky. Not saying that's why we lost. I think it influenced it, but really a great game by Texas. Put us on a national stage, shows that we can compete with these guys. We can compete with the number one team. We fell back 2 spots in the rankings, which, I mean, it's a small drop, but I mean, we lost to the number one team. We have a game against Texas State this weekend, which should be an easy win. Texas still looking very good. 1 loss, I'm not worried about it, and I'm very proud for how they played against Kentucky. It was a great game, and nobody plays defense like Kentucky. They are one heck of a team.
Yeah, it's looking like Texas had a total of 25 fouls, and Willie Cauley-Stein for the Kentucky Wildcats shot 12 free throws, made 9 of 12, and he ended up with a double-double. So the fouls definitely hurt Texas. Whether they were actually fouls, the refs were making bad calls, because, I mean, it happens all the time. Refs make a lot of mistakes. That's definitely one thing that hurt Texas. I agree. It was a good game. You guys played against Kentucky. Kentucky is known to blow teams out, and you guys didn't. So I think there's a lot more respect for Texas's basketball season, and it's looking like it could be a good season. So should definitely be feeling good. But yeah, that's all I have. And if Jill's good, then we will see you guys next week. Jill, you good?
Yep. See y'all next week.
See ya.